This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things horrific and horror-related. Read the reviews, frolic in the forum, hem and haw over the horoscopes, and listen mightily to the Horror Movie Show with Mark and Jerry, your horrible hosts.
Hey there, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you the latest episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com. Also on iTunes, and what the heck, maybe you find us somewhere else.
Yeah, soon.
We got lots to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Walking Dead season finale. In fact, the whole fourth season up to this point, 8 episodes out of 16 shown so far. Not going to see a new one until February.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. Anyway, we're going to save that to the end, and be aware that there will be spoilers, as always.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it by now, you're obviously not a fan.
No, so to hell with you. We're going to start today's show with the Hunger Games, Catching Fire. But first, I wanted to say that our last show, we started with a movie called Escape from Tomorrow, which was set in Disneyland and Disney World.
Yeah.
Mark, you were just down in Disneyland. How's it going these days?
I hadn't been in over 10 years, which to some people that's a lot.
Yeah. Other people, it's way too soon.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. It was nice to get back there. A lot of it was the same, but there's a lot of new stuff as well.
Right.
Especially on the California side, the California Adventure. They've got a whole section just made for Cars fans.
Cars thing, yeah.
And it is really well done.
Oh, fun.
I mean, exceptionally well done.
Right,
I mean,
right.
They really take the detail in very, very seriously there.
Little talking cars running over
Well,
customers.
there are talking cars running around. There's They do have people in these cars.
Right.
And they do talk and get people to take pictures with them, and all the different characters show up one at a time.
What if you wanted to stage a picture where you were lying on the ground and one of these cars had just hit you? Would they play along?
I don't know if you did it very quickly.
Yeah.
You have some ketchup packet and you just slap it on yourself and jump. Yeah, they would do it, but they have professional photographers there as well, willing to take your picture. Indeed. For a cost. But they've recreated Radiator Springs. And
I've never seen the movie, so I have no idea.
Anyway, Radiator Springs is a really nice little town off of Route 66.
Okay.
And they've recreated the whole thing perfectly with all the ambience and all the lights and all the fixtures. It's beautiful. And I just can't believe they did such a great job.
Well, there you go. I have to see the movie if I ever go back.
Yeah.
Which I really doubt, because last time I was there, we went down with the niece and nephew, and Amazing Trixie and I always said we wouldn't go back unless we had kids. So it was great.
So you're going to bring your dogs, right?
At least. Hey, I wanted to ask if you went on the horror hotel ride. Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
we went.
They strap you into a
elevator.
A couch that's anchored on an elevator, and they drop you in the dark several times.
Yeah,
and you actually come out of your seat. It's only the strap across your thighs that keeps you from losing
I can
your
handle
chair.
up and down really, really well, which explains why I also liked their roller coaster on the California side. That one that shoots you off.
Oh, I love it.
Like a bullet train.
That's what we did with Denise. We the three of us hit in 2 days, we hit every roller coaster in both parks.
Yeah.
And I love them. I've always loved roller coasters.
Yeah. And that one's pretty good. Yeah. Really good. I don't love being spun around. And luckily they don't
bear that in mind.
They don't have a lot of rides that do that. No. So it's okay.
No,
I can handle most of the rides. In fact, I can handle all the rides there. The only ones I didn't like too much was actually when we went to Universal, and they have a Jurassic Park ride.
Right.
And I like rides that have water in them, right? Uh-huh. But, where you get a chance at getting wet.
Right.
The one on Jurassic Park is like they take a bucket of water and they spill it on you.
Right,
you have no chance of not getting wet at all.
Yeah.
So, I was really peeved because, it's like I didn't know that I was going to get totally drenched.
Right.
I mean, from head to
foot,
And to me, that's not fair. You should have at least a chance of not getting too wet.
Well, you know, in the California park at Disneyland, the ride that's it's supposed to be like whitewater rafting.
Yeah,
I sat in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And the little doorway was right there, and it kept catching the water and sluicing it all over me. I think my shoulders may have been dry.
Yeah.
But I got off that. My wallet was soaked through.
Yeah.
I was my underwear.
But with that ride, there is a chance that you won't get too drenched.
Oh, yeah, no.
Or there's a chance you will get completely soaked. And I like that.
Yeah.
That uncertainty.
I hit 0 on that one because I was completely sorry. And everybody else in the car thought that this was the funniest thing.
Oh, I just thought it was funny because we go on that ride and nobody's on the ride.
Yeah.
Because this is winter.
Right.
For Californians. Right. And even the people on the ride's going, how can you go? It's so cold. And I'm in t-shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm going, this is great. It's 70-degree weather out and it's lovely. And they're going, it's freezing. How can you go on that ride? Yeah. And I'm going, you're climatized,
20 odd years ago, Teresa and I, the first little holiday that we took was a package down to LA and Disneyland. And it rained one evening, and I've never seen a crowd scatter so quickly. You'd swear acid rain.
Yeah. I've seen that.
They just ran out of the park, which was fine because we then had like 2-3 hours where we could just go from one to the other and do whatever we wanted.
Our first couple of days were Monday and Tuesday, and they were wonderful. You could go from ride to ride to ride to ride.
That's nice.
At the most, a 5-minute wait.
Right.
But by the time Friday hit, it's a completely different story. And I've swore that's it. Never on a weekend again. No matter what time of year. Yeah. Never on a weekend.
No, very busy place. That's what Mark did on his holidays. I haven't had my holidays this year. Teresa is going to go to Vegas for a few days, so I'll be having the house to myself.
See, I've been to Vegas twice, right?
Yeah.
And it's like taking a kid to a candy store, but not giving them any candy. Because I love to watch people gamble, but I'd like to do it myself, but I don't have enough money to gamble. It's like taking you to this place and you're going, oh, look at all these things we can do, but you don't have any money.
Hey, it's nickel slots, man. The nickel slots, you take $20 and you can
lose it in an hour, or you can spend it a couple hours if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But you will lose it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, always plan on coming home with less money.
The way I figure, if you can spend $20 and it gives you a couple hours of entertainment, then it's entertainment.
I know, it's like a movie.
And that's what they say in the fine print.
Yeah.
They say, don't take gambling serious, take it as an entertainment.
Right.
Because, in other words, you're saying, you're going to lose.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah, well, never gamble.
Spend wisely.
Never gamble more than you can afford to burn.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about movies here. It's only tangentially a horror movie, but The Hunger Games: Catching Fire is less about children killing children this time and more about the champions killing champions.
Yeah, they're not children anymore.
It's the 75th anniversary of this horrible power struggle. President Snow, played by the usually wonderful Donald Sutherland, has changed the rules so that now the games are going to eliminate Katniss Everdeen, who has become a symbol of the rebellion. Yes, a symbol of hope and for the rebellion. The regime that is running the 12 districts, there was a 13th district, but something hideous happened to it.
Yes, we don't know what.
Totally dead.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Directed by Francis Lawrence, written by Simon Beaufoy and Michael Arndt, based on the novel by Suzanne Collins. I have to say that it's, maybe it's a little more original than the first one was, which was way too much like Battle Royale, the Japanese movie. This one is definitely veering more towards the political than the first one is. In fact, by the end of this, they've set it up for 2 more movies, which I see are in the works. A two-part story, the next 2.
I watched the first movie just before I went to see the second movie.
You hadn't seen it before?
No, I had. But it had been over a year or so ago.
Right.
So I decided to refresh my memory on what was going on. And surprisingly, the 2 different directors had really very similar look and feel for both movies. They really go well together.
I do think that the new one, Catching Fire, is way chattier. The first one got into the action a lot sooner.
Didn't.
Did it not?
No.
It felt like it did.
You might not remember it quite correctly, but they don't get into the action until about an hour and a half into it.
Okay, so it is like the second one.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Very much so. But the second one, these are all champions in themselves, and they've lived the good life for a while, some of them anyway.
Yeah.
And others, obviously, like the main character in this one, she only won last year, so she hasn't really had a chance to live the good life.
Right.
And even then, she wasn't living the good life with all these promotional tours that they were putting her on and all this stuff. So I felt that...
She's kind of a grumbler.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the movies, the two movies as a whole, and I'm looking at the way it's set up with these different districts and all this stuff. Yeah. It all just doesn't make sense to me why they haven't had a rebellion many, many years ago. Because these guys...
there was, and that... And
no, I mean
75 years ago, that's what crushed it.
They haven't really fixed things. They've only kind of like contained things. The government is containing people. They're not trying to make them happy.
No.
They're not trying to satiate them in any way. They basically have a slave caste and the upper class, the rulers.
Yeah.
And to me, how do they really expect that to last for a long time? And it has. Exceedingly long. 75 years now.
Well, it has in the U.S. for...
Well, it's a slow downhill thing that's happened in the last 30 years in the U.S. In the 70s and 80s, there wasn't such a difference in castes, upper and lower
well, it's more extreme.
There was a lot more...
It's perhaps more extreme, but it's always been there.
What I'm saying with this whole storyline, the author, I mean, it's kind of goes to the absurd.
Oh, of course
it's like Nazi Germany all over again with the Jews and
there's a long tradition of dystopian tales. This is basically a fairy tale. And I was surprised that for a kid's movie, which is, let's face it, what this is, it's for the tweens and early teens.
I don't think it is.
But it gets quite political.
I don't think it is a kid's movie at all anymore.
Now, there's a real problem. I read an article online about this, that the big movies are based on comic books and stuff. Where are the adult stories? You really have to search for them. You have to go out of your way to find the adult stories, because if you just go by the top 10 movies in the theater, those are what would have been children's movies 20 years ago, and now everybody goes to see Iron Man and Thor and all these other movies.
But they're trying to give it a little bite.
Well,
a little more grit.
I know. We'll talk about Thor soon, and
anyway.
Well, the Hunger Games books were aimed at kids, and the movies may have pretensions to capture a wider audience, and they do. They get a bigger audience, but at the same time, the story is very simplistic, and as you say, it has huge plot holes in it, and it is a kid's story.
Yeah.
This is not Orwell. This is not 1984.
Yeah, you have to remember that it is just, like you say,
it's a simple story.
It's very simple, but there's a lot of complex things that are thrown at you.
Yeah.
For instance, the whole District 13 just disappearing.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the structure of the society, each district has a specialty that they produce for the whole.
Right.
Some are miners, some are scientists, some are whatever.
Grow food, whatever.
So if you eliminate a whole district, what happens to all the resources that they were contributing to the society?
I'm really not worried about any breakdown in this made-up society.
I'm just saying there. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, the district was wiped out as a show of power.
Exactly.
Just to scare the other 11 districts.
That's at the very simplistic terms, but what are the ramifications of that is enormous. All the resources that they were getting from the district are suddenly gone.
I hope you're not losing any sleep over this.
I'm just saying that's what bothered me about this movie is that they are taking it really simple.
Right.
It's like good against bad, Nazis against the
Commies.
Jews, It's very simplistic, but at the same time they've set up all these things that if you really explore it, it just doesn't make sense in what they're doing. And the people, putting up with it for 75 years. It didn't happen in Germany from the First to the Second World War. They tried to do all sorts of weird things to the populace, and they rose up and the Third Reich was created. So
okay, I think you're getting your history a little mixed up there. There wasn't a popular uprising which brought in the Nazis. They were elected.
Well, they were elected, yes.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that keeping the people down like they do in these movies just wouldn't have lasted 75 years. There would have been a rebellion way before 75 years.
Oh boy.
Okay. To me, I mean, you can't treat people like that for that length of time.
Yeah, but it's a stupid movie.
What I'm just saying. Anyway, and the fact that the Hunger Games themselves in the second movie, they're really not battling each other too much. It's more the surroundings are killing them.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I had the impression that the fighting in the original in the first movie was more intense, because you saw these kids killing each other one by one by one.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 or 3 at a time when she drops the killer hornets on them and stuff like that. But in this one,
you didn't see very
many. You
don't
see a lot of people killed,
but you hear about it.
Yeah, and mostly it's like the little knot, and of course there's a reason that there's a little knot. We find out at the end, and so on. I don't want to give this away because it's still in the theaters, but I don't know. I'm not happy with either of these movies. Jennifer Lawrence, I find a little bit cold and distant, and I don't buy her as a popular leader. I don't buy her as the symbol that she's supposed to have become in this movie.
I disagree. I think that they all really do a great job at... You can see this tension, this underlying tension through the whole second movie. Even the people that in the first movie, like the MC on the talk show that they go on. Yeah, Tucci. Because you can see in his eyes that he's not happy about what he has to do. Same with the woman that is kind of like...
Effie.
Is controlling. She's the one that sets up everything and kind of leads them around.
Effie Trinket, played by Elizabeth Banks. Yeah.
You can see that in her
she's
face
not happy. Yeah.
That everybody in the upper echelons are not happy as they're supposed to be.
Right.
So things are deteriorating, and it's all done with just the looks on their faces.
Well, they're
doing one thing, but you can see they hate what they're doing.
They're definitely making a parallel to the huge gulf between the rich and the poor in the U.S. right now. In fact, in the West right now. I just find it's clumsy, and I'm not sure that aiming a kids' movie at politics like this is effective. But on the other hand, it was a fun ride. It was enjoyable enough for what it is, which is a kids' movie. But
see, I don't see it that way at all.
Yeah, you said that. I to me, this is like Ender's Game. It's about as deep as that, which is another movie we'll be talking about soon, which is also aimed at kids. And I find it a little sad that political movies today are aimed at 13-year-olds.
But adults can enjoy this movie just as much as a 13-year-old, even more, because I think they look at things.
Read 1984 for Pete's sake. Don't look at kids' movies to get your politics, or watch The Daily Show and the Colbert Report. That's aimed at adults. I'm not interested in watching a kids' movie.
But you keep calling it a kids' movie, but yes, it's a little bit simplistic, but at the same time, it's dealing with real adult themes. So, I mean, no, it's not just a kids' movie. There's adult themes in there running through the whole thing.
Well, there should be worthwhile themes in any story, but the audience for this movie is not 50-year-old men. It is 13-year-old kids.
Yeah, but it's making millions and millions.
Of course, so that's my point earlier about how there's so many movies being made today, and what are they being based on? They're being based on comic books. They're being based on kids' novels, adolescent fiction, but they give them, the $100 million treatment. So everybody goes to see them, and they look spectacular.
See,
but it's so lightweight. This is not based on literature. This is based on pop fiction aimed at kids. It's very, very simplistic.
I don't think it's lightweight. I really don't.
Okay.
I'm saying they could go deeper into the nitty-gritty, but this is not a happy story.
Well, happy doesn't mean lightweight. You can have a happy story, and yet it can still be aimed at adults.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this particular movie, it's like having a kid's movie set in the concentration camp. That's basically what it's like.
Oh, I just don't see that. I just think this is, I don't know, it's candy floss with with a little bitter sauce poured on top.
No, I don't see it that way at all.
All right, Mark thinks this is Sartre, but
I'm saying that you're acting like it is a kids movie, and I don't think it is.
Because adults go and see it?
No, because I don't think it is. I don't think it's dealing with just kids.
Was it a kid's book?
I have no idea. I haven't even read it.
Right.
I haven't read the book, so I have no idea what it's written like or who it's intended for or whatever. All I know is the movie.
Intended for adolescents, and this movie is based on that book, and I don't see the movie being any deeper than the book was. And
did you read the books?
I've glanced through them, online, but I can't say that they're any better written than Harry Potter. I have no...
Again, you don't like the Harry Potter series, and I have a completely different point of view on that series than you do as well. So, making that comparison is not doing anything for me anyway.
I don't know. I would like to see more adult movies made. Let's move on to a movie made by grown-ups for grown-ups. 1959's Eyes Without a Face. This is a classic horror movie. French, of course, directed by Georges Franju, written by Pierre Boileau and 4 others. Stars Pierre Brasseur as Dr. Genessier, Alida Valli as Louise, Juliette Manuel as Edna, the head nurse, and Edith Scobb as Christiane, who in a car accident lost her face. Mm-hmm. That's a bummer. Face torn off, I guess.
And I think her father was the person driving.
Oh, well, yeah, he's full of guilt.
He feels very guilty about his daughter, and he loves his daughter very much.
So what he's doing is he's kidnapping young women and drugging them and removing their faces.
And putting them on his daughter.
Yeah.
And he's obviously done this quite a few times.
Yeah, because they keep being rejected.
This is a black and white movie.
Yeah, old movie, 1959, as I say. So.
Actually, for some reason, IMDb says 1960, and it said it was released in 1960. So.
Okay.
Anyway, it was not well received by the adoring public and critics. But the director, he said he wasn't making a horror movie.
No.
He wanted to make something that was a little more than a horror movie.
Yeah. Well, at that time, movies weren't so cut and dried. I think it can be called a horror movie today because it certainly touches on a lot of the same themes. It's very, very tame by today's comparison.
Except for one scene.
You never really see the faceless face. You see it wildly out of focus.
Yes.
And she wears a mask.
That one operation, the operation they do to remove the skin,
right,
was extremely graphic for the time.
Nicely done.
And very nicely done. Yeah. And that is the only scene that elevates, as far as I'm concerned, this to a horror movie.
Oh, I don't know if elevates to horror is the right term.
Because it is horrific. It shows the whole procedure.
If not a lot of blood, but if you don't like cutting and surgical scenes,
and pulling skin off somebody's face,
it really looks like they removed the woman's face.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a real quick shot of right when they pull the skin off that you can see her face, but it's like a millisecond.
Yeah, raw meat.
Yeah. Just a millisecond that you can see it. They banned this in a number of places, this movie.
Right.
And it wasn't until, it wasn't until 2003 that they actually showed it in the U.S. Uncut, that is.
Okay.
Uncut.
Right.
But the original was retitled. They retitled it for the U.S. way back when they made it in the 60s. The Horror Chamber of Dr. Faustus. And it says the weird thing about it is nobody's called Dr. Faustus in the movie.
No. It's Dr. Genessier. Yeah. That's funny. Cheers. Did they change the actor's name to Vincent Price, too?
Yeah, and here's another little tidbit. He says, when the film first appeared at the Edinburgh Film Festival in 1960, it was reported that the audience members fainted during the surgery scene. Director George Franjo responded, "Now I know why Scotsmen wear kilts." That's what he said.
Because they're women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh well, I'm sure your average Scots would slap him.
And John Carpenter actually said that Mike Myers' mask was based on a mask in this show.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, certainly yes. Christiane, the young woman without the face, the doctor's daughter. Yeah, she's an odd-looking woman to begin with. She's very plain-looking. Like her features are so regular, and they managed to fashion a mask that fits so tightly that it looks just like her face. In the scenes where she's, got skin on her face, she looks just like she does with the mask. Very expressionless, very blank, very white. And I thought that was interesting.
I think she's the only sane person in this movie.
Well, she feels a little guilty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's like
she knows her dad's kind of squirrely.
Yeah, and his dad has an assistant.
His hideous nurse. Yeah.
She's not hideous.
Well, she's a monster.
She's a monster, but she looks good because he fixed her face.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to do again with his daughter. And the whole thing about them looking for a girl with the same eyes as his daughter, same colored eyes and things like that. Like, the skin's not going to make any difference.
Yeah.
They're not taking their eyes.
Well, perhaps, if they were to put a woman with an olive complexion, if they took her face, it would look odd. But yeah, I know that it's kind of silly. The Doctor is definitely an early version of the Doctor in the Human Centipede. Mm-hmm. With that sort of obsessed, and he's the genius, and he's very cold and calculating and emotionless for the most part.
Did you like this movie?
I did. I thought it was a hoot. I thought it was so over the top, and it takes itself so seriously that it was good fun. It's the sort of movie that I think you can watch and chuckle at, because the science is wildly stupid. But I thought it moved along. A lot of times an old movie, and I know a lot of people don't like black and white movies.
Well, it was a beautiful movie.
And it looks good.
It looks good.
It's terrific. And the pacing for an older movie is nice and quick. I was never bored with it.
No.
Not a long movie, but very enjoyable. I'd recommend it.
You give me these lists of movies to watch, and I came across a couple of the movies on this list. I'm going, where are you getting all these foreign movies from? Because this is subtitled, right?
Yes, yeah.
You're coming up with all these foreign movies, and where are you getting these movies from?
Well, a lot of times I joined a lot of Facebook pages of horror fans, and I see a movie that is being discussed in the thread, and I'll think, well, there's one that I've never seen, and it sounds interesting. So, give it a shot.
They also mentioned that Billy Idol uses the title, The Eyes Without a Face, in one of his songs and things like that. Yeah. So we're kind of wondering if he's actually referring to that.
Well, it's a cult movie. It made its mark. It may not have been popular at the time, but the fact that it caused controversy means that it gets an audience. It gets an audience of people who are disturbed and want to see a disturbing movie.
Yeah.
So and certainly over the years, it's found a huge audience, and it's very well thought of.
Yeah, and I can understand if they cut out that one scene for the U.S. at the beginning. It's pretty tame movie. Other than that,
the scene at the beginning, which one?
Or not the beginning, when they brought it across the Atlantic to be watched in the U.S.
Right.
If they just cut that one face scene out, it's pretty tame.
Yeah. And it could be excised or chopped down to just a part of that, because they really go into detail, from him using a grease pencil to put the cut here lines on her face, and then they show every incision that he makes, every scalpel move. He cuts all around the face and around the eyes, but
they never show him putting it back on his daughter.
No, they don't have to. They wanted the horror, and that to me is why it's a horror movie, because they go into such detail.
It was
in a horrific way.
I was surprised at that, and actually they pulled it off.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
I think they did a very good job.
I thought it was good. Now we've got there's a little bit of a theme here, because Eyes Without a Face is French. Outpost III: Rise of the Spetsnaz, which is the next movie we'll be talking about. That's an international production as well, although it is in English. So Outpost 3, Rise of the Spetsnaz, this is actually going back before the first two.
It's a prequel.
Outpost movies. Yeah, this is showing during World War II when the Nazis were setting up their peculiar zombie, soldier, invincible subject. And they're not quite so invincible in this movie. You can kill these monsters. And the ray projector, which features so much in the original and the first sequel, may or may not even be working through much of this. So a lot of the experiments to make super soldiers are done with other means.
Chemicals.
Yeah.
I found this movie to be like I was watching somebody play a video game.
Right.
It was just basically going from one room to the next, shooting people, killing people, battling people with their hands and fists. And I just felt like I was watching a video game through the whole thing. Yeah. It's like there was no real big plot line other than surviving.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And to me, this is a perfect video game.
Yes, it would be. It would be. Yeah, it is. And it is like a zombie horror battling Nazi atrocities video game.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I made of it.
What did you think of it in comparison with the first two Outpost movies?
It was too simplistic.
Right.
There wasn't enough storyline. There wasn't at all.
I mean, the German commandant of this project is complete and utter cliche. He's as deep as the Nazi characters in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, very much. He's just a cartoon of a Nazi.
Yeah, he's basically there to do a job, and he's producing this serum. They're trying to perfect it. They're sending a sample of the serum off to Berlin or something like that when the motorcade gets attacked by these Russians.
Yes, the Spetsnaz.
And then the Russians get overrun by another German faction coming down the road, and they get hauled into this outpost.
The survivors get hauled in.
I don't know why they call it outpost. It's like a bunker.
Yeah.
Anyway, then they are being tested on, this serum is being tested on them one at a time.
Yeah.
And each person reacts slightly different.
Right.
Because they're different physiques, different builds, different mindsets. Things like that. Yeah. So each soldier is kind of different from each other. And they have this huge guy that is battling the other super soldiers, the German ones.
Right.
Or whoever they are.
Yeah.
And then he gets changed into one. And it's like, it's a slow process. Right. It's not like you're taking over.
Yeah, instantly. So zombiehood.
It's you're slowly degrading to a zombie.
Yes.
So,
a Nazi-controlled zombie.
But you have super strength.
Right.
To me, the first one was a real low budget thing. Right. And
but it had a name actor or two in it, which surprised me.
But it was very simplistic. These guys go into a bunker and they discover all this stuff. Yeah. And the second one had a bigger budget. Yeah. And it had more American actors in it. Even though it was, I think it was shot in Serbia or the Balkan states somewhere.
As this one was.
If I recall. Yeah. And it had a little more storyline because they were going in to find the original.
I found the second one confusing. I thought it was not as well made as the first one. I agree. They're all fairly simple movies. Yeah. And the second one tried to introduce a degree of complication, but I don't think they did it well. Yeah. I wouldn't say that any of these three movies are very good movies. Outpost 3, it barrels right along, but it is essentially Russians fighting Germans, Germans capturing the Russians being experimented on, and the Russians trying to defeat the Nazis now that they've got extra powers. And so on.
It's like I said, it makes a good video.
Yeah, indeed it does. The main character, played by Brian Larkin, he plays Dolokhov. He never gets a shot of this stuff, but he remains like a Superman regardless, just because he's Russian, I guess. I'll just mention the director of Outpost 3, Rise of the Spetsnaz, 2013 movie, directed by Kieran Parker, written by Ray Brunton. Stars Brian Larkin, Ivan Kamaras, Michael McKell as the Nazi, which is always fun. So that was a fake accent, I guess he was putting on. And Velibor Topic as Arkady I don't know. I didn't dislike it, but it's not the sort of movie that I'm going to remember very well.
No.
Because it's forgettable.
It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah, I agree. It's watchable. Like I said, it's like watching a video
Watching
game.
somebody else play a video game. Yeah, which is always like, so much fun.
They've got power-ups. They've got different they've got different levels that they go on.
Yeah. A little bit like Doom.
Different weapons. It is very much like Doom.
Yeah.
And it's like I just kept watching going, okay.
Yeah, what next?
There's really not a lot of character development.
No, they don't bother with that.
But there's a lot of fighting.
Yes.
A lot of fighting. Going down alleys and going down tunnels and going down and just mowing down anybody you find.
Absolutely.
So it's like
lots of quiet grabbing from behind and sticking a knife in because the Russians.
It's not really subtle.
No.
It's just run and shoot. That's it.
Let's move on to another movie with German villains and German victims as well. 1997's Funny Games, which was remade for American audiences.
I noticed it in IMDb.
Yeah, we talked about it. Certainly, I saw it a couple of years ago. Anyway, the original 1997, written and directed by Michael Haneke, German movie, as I say. It stars Suzanne Lothar as Anna, the wife. Ulrich Muhe as Georg, he's the husband. Arno Fritsch as Paul, and Frank Gearing as Peter. And Paul and Peter, they just show up at this nice little family's summer house, and
they meet them.
One of them comes in and wants eggs. Asks if you can borrow eggs.
It starts off with this family coming to their summer cottage.
Right.
And they're there for a couple weeks, I guess, out of the year.
Yeah, it's
and they do a little bit of sailing.
Yeah.
And everybody on the lake is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
They all appear in a couple weeks in the summer. They all know each other.
Nice middle class people.
And they're only there for a short time.
Yeah.
Well, when they get there, they see their neighbors and they wave, and there are a couple of
young
men with them, and they're waving and they're introduced.
Yeah. Just kids, really.
Yeah. Early 20s.
Yeah.
A little bit later on, like you say, one of them shows up, wants to borrow some eggs.
Yeah. Makes a big deal and he drops them, and he's wrecking the eggs, and he basically makes Anna, the wife, really annoyed
and uncomfortable.
And then his buddy shows up, and things get even more uncomfortable, to the point where she just orders them out of the house, and they won't go, not until they get their damn eggs. And then the husband shows up, and things get nastier, and the husband winds up slapping one of these boys, and then all hell breaks loose. Then a golf club, the husband's golf club, is used to break the husband's leg by one of these little punks, and the family is just the mother, father, and their son are put through hell for 20 hours or so, overnight, certainly. And it is a hopeless movie. It's very controversial, this movie, when it came out, because it is so hopeless, completely nihilistic.
Paul, the main culprit in the movie, is talking to the camera several times.
Yeah, oh yes, very odd.
And winks at the crowd.
Yeah. He makes the audience, he makes us work with him, because we could turn it off anytime we want and end the horror. And that's the director's point. We don't have to be watching this, but we do. And by watching it, we contribute to the torture of this family.
Yeah, and things are told to the family right off the outset what they're going to do to them.
Oh, it's terrible.
It says, like, in 20 hours, that's it.
Yeah.
And it goes.
Because they're timing themselves. They've got a schedule, and they've got to get to the next house, next people.
Well, you're giving a lot away here.
Well, it's an old movie, and the remake sticks very, very close to it.
I remember the plot line, but I don't remember anything about the remake other than the plot line, because when I was watching this movie, I remember this, but I don't remember this film.
Yeah.
Because it's a different film than when I saw it. And so it is interesting. It takes you to places where you really don't want to go.
Oh, no.
It's a psychological thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
The director, he said he never intended it to be a horror movie. Instead, he was making a film of moralistic comment.
Oh, it's
influences of media and violence on society.
Very, very political movie.
There are a few things that bugged me about the movie, though.
The hopelessness?
Yeah. That's the thing about European movies.
Yeah.
Is they love to leave you in a hopeless situation and nothing is resolved at the end.
Well, this one certainly does. I enjoyed it more than the remake, if only because it is the original. And I thought remaking a hopeless movie seems
hopeless,
kind of pathetic to me. Yeah.
I mean,
as I recall, what's her name? The daughter of Steven Tyler.
Well, it's like The Vanishing.
Liv Tyler. I think she's the wife in the American remake of this movie, and I just didn't like seeing her tortured. Who doesn't like Liv Tyler?
I said, I don't remember the movie at all.
Nasty.
But it reminded me of The Vanishing. The difference is the original Vanishing, right. It leaves off in a hopeless place.
Right.
This is much the same.
Yeah.
And to the point where when they approach the next victim, there goes Paul again, winking at the audience. It's going to happen again.
I know. There's certainly a feeling similar to A Clockwork Orange, where Alex is talking to the audience and again making us complicit in his crimes.
Mm-hmm.
We feel for him, though he is not a hero, he's an anti-hero. Peter and Paul in this movie you can't even call them anti-heroes. They're protagonists. They're the main characters.
Yeah.
The family are just victims, just things for them to toy with.
Yeah.
But it is very much like Kubrick's great version of A Clockwork Orange, where the winks to the camera and so on. Now, Alex in Clockwork Orange isn't looking into the camera and winking, but his narration is directly to us. Oh, my friends.
Yeah. The narration,
like
yeah. But this movie had some scenes that were 10-minute long.
Mm-hmm.
No cuts.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like...
And it's just people like bleeding.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening except people are in pain.
The wife and the husband have just witnessed their son being murdered.
With a shotgun.
And the husband had been beaten up, and I thought he was dead too, but he isn't. And you can just, it's just a static shot. It's a static shot, and it lasts like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the mother's just literally sitting there.
Yeah.
And not moving.
They're just stunned.
They're stunned.
Yeah.
And then finally they start moving around, but it's like 10-minute scene of agony.
I don't know. How often does that happen? I give a lot of credit to the director because that is a bold choice and it's very risky. And this is not a movie for everybody. It is not a movie that you're going to watch and really enjoy. It's not as if this family deserves to be tortured. The father isn't like, the monster in Business or something. We know nothing about them, really.
Right.
They're just a nice middle-class family who've come for their little summer vacation. And one by one, these two monsters are going from house to house. And as you say, in the beginning, the family we concentrate on sees these two with another family. And during the course of the movie, when they're being tortured, the next family shows up, and again, they're introduced. And everything seems civil and everything's cool, but only because the mom, who's with one of these monsters, knows that her husband and son are in great danger if she doesn't play along. Yeah. So this unbroken chain, and nothing is stopping these two.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a scene in which the mother suddenly grabs the shotgun and kills one of these little punks.
Yeah.
And the other one, the leader of these two little monsters,
grabs the rifle,
takes the remote,
and says, "Where's the remote?"
And rewinds the scene.
Yeah.
And suddenly his friend is alive again.
Yeah. That blew me away when they did that. It's like all of a sudden.
But it's a very, very theatrical movie. It's commenting not just on real life violence, but on violence in media, as the director says.
Yeah. At that point, you're going, okay, one of them got their come on.
Yeah. I mean,
they turn the tide. She's got a shotgun.
Yeah.
And he rewinds it.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know.
What the hell? Then it continues on with this macabre ending.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that's not fair.
Yeah, I know.
What the hey?
But the director is making the point. It's a movie, and anything can happen. And the movie is being controlled by these monsters.
And yes, obviously there was no way out of it. They gave the audience this slim
little bits of hope. Yeah.
And then bang, took it away from them and said, no, this isn't the way we're going.
Yeah, no.
We're not going with that. The scene where they left the house for a period of time and left
the two punks.
The two punks.
They say they're leaving. They say, that's it, we're done. But of course they're lying.
Yes. The wife goes off to get help.
She's running down the road.
Did she bring a weapon with her? No. She didn't bring a golf club?
No, nothing. No.
And that bothered me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going, well, she's in shock, and her main thought is to get help so her husband doesn't go and get killed, die.
Yeah.
She's not thinking right.
No.
But at the same time, if this was an American movie, she would have got some sort of weapon.
I don't think so, because they remade it as an American movie, and she makes just as
Does she make the
decisions.
Same thing? I can't remember the movie at all.
It is very, very close to the original.
That says something good about at least the American remake, in that they didn't try to make it an Americanized movie.
Yeah, I didn't see a point to the American remake except a money grab. A movie made in English is going to be seen by more people.
Yeah.
And especially if you got name actors like Liv Tyler and so on, yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you liked it. I've been finding these weird movies.
A little bit of a tidbit here. At the 1997 Cannes Festival, where they had it, a number of the people were so upset they walked out.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
So it was like, I guess when they rewound, people said, "That's it."
Yeah. Yes, I read the comments.
They're screwing with me.
I read the comments on IMDb, and more than half the people said, "I hate this movie. It's so stupid and manipulative." But that's the point the director is making, that movies are manipulative.
Yeah.
You can't take any movie seriously, because unless it's a documentary, it's not real life. It's not even close to real life.
Yeah, but
it's a
like
story.
People want happy endings.
Some people want happy endings.
And even if a happy ending means slaughtering somebody that deserves it.
Right.
Most people would rather have that than have the murderers get away scot-free.
To me, that's more realistic.
It is more
realistic. Because people get away with murder all the time.
Of course, it is. But at the same time, they're playing with the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
They're playing with you. And that's, I think, what people get really upset about.
Well, and that's the other thing. I'm not sure why anybody would get super upset about this, because it keeps saying it's a movie. It's a movie. Why would you get upset? You're upset with the choices that the writer, director, and actors make in a movie. If you don't like the movie, fine, but to say, well, it was ruined when they did this, that's because it didn't go the way you were expecting it. Well, tough titties, buddy, Not everything goes your way, and that's the point of this movie. I think it's a terrific movie anyway. I very much enjoyed it.
I watched the first 5 minutes of it.
Right.
And then I had to...
And then you threw up?
No, I had to go somewhere. So I continued it on with it the next day. But that first 5 minutes, just the first 5 minutes, I'm going, do I really want to watch this movie?
Yeah.
I can see what's coming here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
well, the home invasion movie is such a standard horror thing. The Last House on the Left.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. We've reviewed a ton of them. And this is just a nice twist on it, because the bad guys don't get their comeuppance. And if they do, it's erased. which is, I think it's unique. I can't think of another.
That really shocked me when he grabs the rifle from her, and then he says, "Where's the remote? Where's the remote?" And I'm going, "Wait, what?" And then he grabs the remote, and suddenly the film starts rewinding.
Yeah.
I'm going, what happened to the movie? Somebody made a screw up on the movie.
I watched it on TV one night. That's where I saw it. And I thought, oh, God, somebody's put their elbow on the wrong button.
Yeah.
At the station.
Yeah. And
it didn't just rewind like a little bit. It kept going back and back and back.
Yeah.
To well before the other guy gets blown away.
Yeah. And then it starts going forward, and you're going, okay, they fixed the problem.
Yeah.
And then it continues on differently.
And the guy does not get killed. He is stopped. Yeah. Got one more foreign movie. And when I say foreign, of course, I mean not American. So Canadian movie would be foreign, I suppose.
Yeah, so would British.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there you go.
2006 movie called 13 Game of Death. 3 different people wrote it. I'm going to try to pronounce the director's name. Chukiat Sakvirakul, and it stars Krisada Sokosal as Fuchet.
Is this a Korean movie?
No, I believe it's Thai.
Thai.
I think it was Thai, yeah. Now, this is a movie that completely fooled me. I was halfway through it before I realized that everything that I'd been assuming up to this point was wrong. I thought it was, and I don't want to give it away entirely because I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it. It is well worth seeing. It was my friend Carl who put me on to it. His review convinced me it was worth watching. Check out ILikeHorrorMovies.com. Carl's site, very good if you want news about what's happening in the world of horror. Anyway, the plot basically is this poor young man, Fuchet, is just getting screwed over. He's lost his girlfriend, he's lost his job, he has nothing going for him.
He doesn't have any money, his mother needs help with money.
He's more than broke, it's absolutely awful. And he gets a phone call telling him that all he has to do is complete 13 easy tasks, and he will get,
Well, they didn't say easy.
All right. It starts easy.
Starts with swat a fly.
Starts with swatting a fly and then eating it.
Well, that was the second turn.
The second one. That's one and two.
I thought it was interesting that it started. They fire him.
Yeah.
Yet he doesn't leave.
Well, I mean, they tell him that at the end of the week he's gone.
So he's still at work when all this stuff starts happening.
I've been fired, and they've always expected me to finish out the week. If they're merciful, they fire you on the Friday, so you just go.
Well, that's it.
Firing somebody on Monday lets you seethe for the whole week and maybe bring in a gun,
Well, I think that's why they do it on Fridays now.
Yeah, of course.
Or if they do it earlier, they dismiss you right away. Please leave.
I don't know if it's just for this movie or if it's life in the big city in Thailand, but it seems a very, very cold, cruel world that this guy lives in.
Yeah.
And it's probably a reflection of his mindset. But through half this movie, I was positive that this game that he's playing was all in his head, that he had just cracked up.
I was under that assumption too. And I was wondering if it was going in that direction.
And then it turns into, because he's got a coworker, a young woman who's quite fond of him, and if he wasn't so purblind and focused on his problems, he could actually see that there is something good in his life, that he does have a friend, and in fact she could help improve his life immeasurably. And she starts digging, and she starts putting two and two together. She says at one point, "Oh, I'm not as smart as you are." She says that to the main character. Well, the main character is not that smart, and she is actually very clever because she does some detective work, and she starts digging, and she finds out that indeed this guy is in big trouble.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't do her any good by the end of the movie.
No.
Terrific movie, very enjoyable.
I thought it was very enjoyable in that the 13 tasks that he's not given them all at once.
No.
But one at a time. As he completes one, then they tell him to go somewhere or do something, and it'll be
revealed.
Sometimes the tasks lead it into one another.
Right.
Sometimes they have nothing to do with one another.
Right.
And interestingly enough, through his trials and tribulations, you see that as he's doing tasks, he is remembering his childhood and things that have happened in his life. That these tasks remind him.
Right, sort of preparing him. It's not unlike the very, very successful Slumdog Millionaire. And that as he's going through the game, we see the events that led him to know these things that allowed him to win in the game.
Yeah.
It's also, that's quite a brutal movie, too.
It's the realization that these people have actually selected some of these tasks because they've gone into his background.
Oh, they know him.
They know
everything.
He isn't just a person they picked out at random.
Yeah. Plus, they are everywhere. There's nothing he can do that they don't know about.
Yeah.
He cannot, it's one of the rules, is he can't tell anybody about this.
Yeah.
That's why the young woman's detective work is perhaps a little unbelievable, because she manages to make some jumps in logic that she really is
not privy
jumping in the dark.
Yeah.
And yet, she's right, and but it moves the story along. It's a plot device, but
Did you see the dubbed in version or the
no, it was definitely in Thai. It was with subtitles.
I found the translated version.
How was it?
It was okay.
Yeah.
They changed, what was it, 100 million baht into $1 million.
Right. I don't mind a movie with subtitles, and I do find that I would rather hear the intonation and the way the sentences are spoken in the original language.
It's a give and take with me, depending on what I'm watching.
Right.
in this particular case, I just didn't feel like watching another foreign movie.
Yeah, I know.
With subtitles. So I
layered them on this time.
So I decided, hell with it. If there's an English version, I'm going for it.
There you go. Okay. Now let's get on. We've already done most of an hour here. Let's get on to The Walking Dead. We didn't want to lead off with that just because we lead off with that show so much. But again, I warn you, spoilers. We're talking now about the entire season of The Walking Dead up to this point. The first 8 episodes. We're now in hiatus, and it's going to be 2 months until we see any fresh episodes. But
overall, I kind of saw Herschel's demise.
When they focus a whole episode on a character,
you kind of wonder. you start worrying about that.
Yeah. And Herschel was just too damn good for the group. The good in this series always seem to die young.
And again, a whole episode on the governor.
2 whole episodes.
Yeah.
Where we saw nothing of the prisoners, the prison, and our main group. 2 whole stories just focused on the governor. And the only thing that we see is Michonne and Herschel in the distance. And that's really about it.
It was well done the way they introduced the governor back into this series, where he's just sitting there staring at the prison from the bushes.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 episodes are all about how he gets there.
Yes, yeah. Slowly recovering from like a mental breakdown, where after slaughtering his pathetic little civilian army, and he killed all of these human beings, and he leaves with his 2 lieutenants, and he just sort of becomes catatonic, and his 2 sidekicks, they leave him because he's useless now, he's dead weight, and they don't care anymore whether he gets eaten by zombies, because it doesn't seem like he cares, and he just sort of becomes this wanderer, and it isn't until he sees a little girl in a window that he sort of perks up again. Now, I watched the Talking Dead episode after the first of the 2 governor episodes, and David Morrissey, the actor who plays the governor, he was on the episode, and I think he actually convinced the other folks on the show, including the host Chris Hardwick, that the governor had changed, that he had become a family man again. That he had burned the picture of his dead wife and his zombie daughter.
Yeah, that first show, it sure looked like him.
It never fooled me. I thought, he's playing it. And I thought, you know what, near the end of the episode, after befriending the 2 sisters, one of whom has the little girl, and they have a father who dies of lung cancer in the episode, and David Morrissey's character, the governor, has to use one of the oxygen tanks that he just got for the old man to bash the zombie brains out of the guy who now wants to kill one of his daughters.
Yeah.
When the governor says, near the end of that episode, well, I'm leaving, so long, and Lily, the older of the 2 sisters, who becomes his lover, says, well, you're stuck with us now. We're not your family, but, you've got to treat us like family now.
Yeah.
And he says, well, all right. And the next thing you know, they're all leaving. Well, I think the governor had this all planned out. Because now their father is dead. They're 2 women and a child alone in a zombie world, because they literally haven't stepped more than a few feet out of that apartment building since the whole apocalypse began.
Right.
So they don't even know that you got to shoot him in the head.
No.
The one girl who was just starting out at the police academy, she's got a big, powerful handgun, and she's shooting him in the guts, and they're not dying.
Yeah.
And they don't even understand that how to kill them.
Yeah.
So he says he's leaving. They say, you can't leave. We need you. And he goes, well, all right, let's all leave then. He's playing them.
Well, you see, I didn't get that.
He's a master manipulator.
It almost seemed like he was in shock.
Yeah.
They pulled him out of his shock, and he began to care again.
Right.
They go onto the road. They meet another group of people and some of the people from the town that survived the massacre at the end of last season.
This only surviving lieutenant.
Yeah.
From Woodbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but he's the only one from Woodbury. He's the only one who knows who the governor is.
Exactly, and that's why the governor had to...
But no, listen, Mark, he's lying right from the start. At the end of that first episode, that is the 3rd from the end episode, where the governor is the main character.
Yeah.
At the end of that, he's clutching the little girl after killing 3 zombies with his bare hands in the zombie pit.
Yeah.
And he kills the 3 zombies, and he's holding the little girl, and he promises her he will always look after her, cross my heart, and hope to die. Well, the little girl dies because he's so intent on his vengeance, on his revenge. His promise means nothing to the little girl. In his own mind, he may think that he's a good man. Nobody believes themselves to be evil. Everybody, no matter how much evil they do, thinks that they are on track to do the right thing. But he's such a hypocrite and such a liar, he even lies to himself. Because his promise to that little girl means nothing.
Okay. My point, which is I was trying to get to in a long way, at the end of that first show,
right,
he seems to have adopted a new family. He's let go of his old family.
Right.
Okay. Then they meet up with the new group the next show.
Right.
And he doesn't at first seem to want to be the leader, but he looks at who is leading, and he's finding them inept.
Yes.
They don't do what he wants.
They're not ruthless enough.
They're not ruthless enough.
Yeah.
And so he suddenly clicks into his old behavior and starts eliminating everybody in his way so that he can gain control.
Right.
Then he gets fixated on the prison and decides, I'm going for it. I want that prison.
But I think he was always fixated on the prison.
Well, see, that's not what I got.
But he was nearly catatonic. So yes, I agree. It was seeing the little girl that sort of jogs him out of this fugue state where he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
But when himself comes back, it's the same evil son of a bitch that he was before.
Yes.
He hasn't
regresses
changed.
Back to his former self.
But that is him.
For that reason.
Yeah.
I think at the end, he would have killed Michonne rather than Herschel because he had no gripes against Herschel.
No.
He had gripes against her.
But he was saving her because he's going to take his time. He may not even kill her. He's just going to mutilate her.
Really?
Well, they talk about that. Merle talks about that in the previous season. He says, Rick, you've made this deal to turn Michonne over to the governor. You know what he's going to do to her. He's not even going to kill her. He's going to just torture her and torture her and torture her. So, yeah, he'll kill Herschel because Herschel he doesn't hate. But he hates Michonne. And he's going to keep Michonne.
Yeah, but I think he knew that at that point he had one shot. I don't think he would have taken the time to go and torture Michonne because he knew this was an all or nothing thing, and he could lose.
No, he'd torture her later. He's using the people. If he was seen to torture first, the people wouldn't follow him.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that at that point, it came to that 1 second where he could have backed down, and they could have lived with Rick and his.
Right.
But he made the decision, no, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I think all meant that if it doesn't work, he's gone, and it's not going to work. So he would have made the attempt to kill Michonne because he might not get that chance again.
Okay, no. The way I see it is he didn't make a decision that they couldn't work with Rick. That decision was long made. He was going to the prison to kill everybody. It didn't matter what Rick said. Rick is saying, it's yours. Come on in. There's plenty of room for everybody. We don't even have to see each other. We can be in completely different parts of the prison. But that isn't good enough for the governor because the governor doesn't want to share the space. He wants them dead. And he's going to kill Herschel to torture them and show them that he means business. But he's not going to kill Michonne because that'll come later, when he can take his time. The most unbelievable thing to me about the Governor episodes this season is the way the survivors that he's camped with just follow him. They just believe that this prison is full of murderers. You would think that these people who are not killers per se, not human killers, that there's only one of them, the younger sister, is the only one there who listens to Rick and starts to doubt whether they're doing the right thing.
Well, that whole thing.
Everybody else is perfectly willing to murder for the governor.
Yeah.
And they've hardly known this guy for a week.
I agree with that because the only person that would follow him was the brother of the guy he killed.
The guy who has the tank.
Yeah, the guy with the tank. He's the only psycho in the whole group.
Yeah, that's right.
He would probably be the only guy to follow them. The rest of the guys, I don't think they would.
That's what's so funny, because they're no more killers than the Woodbury people.
Yeah. And it's like the governor just massacred one of their guys.
Yeah.
You would think they would go, oh, wait, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, after cutting Herschel's head off, I would think, I would shoot the governor.
Yeah.
Blow the back of his head off, because he's obviously psychotic.
Yeah.
because there was no reason.
No, there was not.
We were talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and, and it was good, and the governor gets his comeuppance. Michonne gets to kill him the first time.
It's like more than one person has to kill him.
Yeah.
It's like
that big katana going right through him, and he sort of gurgles and chokes and drops off. But then the mother of Megan, the little girl, gets put a bullet through him.
Yeah, why didn't she chop his head off? Because Michonne wanted him to become a zombie.
Yeah.
So that he could...
And to know that he was going to become a zombie.
Yeah.
And that was one of the governor's tortures. That's what he does to poor Merle.
Yeah.
If I can be sympathetic toward Merle.
Yeah.
Merle was, for once, he was trying to do the right thing.
The other woman that he had...
Andrea?
Yeah, Andrea. Same thing.
Yeah.
He wanted them to become zombies as well.
Exactly.
So... Just desserts.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen.
No, the mother of Megan came along and decided, just because she knew he was a filthy liar, and got the daughter killed, essentially. If they hadn't run away from that apartment house, they had a truck full of food. They could have waited it out for quite some time, but, no, he was a rambling man. And the reason he's a rambling man is he had a plan. Now I got to go back and kill Rick and all the rest of them.
I don't know if they had the plan at that point. I think the plan came after he met the other guys.
I think he's just, his character is just a smoldering pile of hatred. And he lives for hatred. And he had his little town of Woodbury. I'm not sure why he had it, but he was in charge, and he was going around and just killing anybody and stealing their supplies. He was absolutely ruthless. Now, when he comes back... why would he have changed? Why wouldn't he still be full of hate? And he is. And I think everything he does demonstrates that he was obsessed with the prison. He was obsessed with killing everybody in the prison just for revenge. Because he's a petty, miserable murderer.
They tried to give you some sympathy for him, and then they yanked it away.
Well, sure,
right away.
Yeah,
it didn't last long.
No.
Didn't last long. Anyway, I don't even want to speculate at where the hell they're going with all the different groups now.
Indeed. Once again, they're in
the wilds.
Yeah.
In the wilds running.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
One would assume they have a meeting place set up. They had an emergency bus escape route. So, they were ready to go if they had to.
Yeah.
But, at the very end... there's a lot of people on foot, and there's even kids running around, but they're like children.
Yeah.
And they're on their own because they won't even follow Tyrese when he says, let's go. They go running off in the opposite direction, and you got Tyrese is on his own, you got these 2 or 3 little girls on their own, I mean, it's horrible. It's a crazy situation. And we don't know what happened to baby Judith.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about that is... did Lori, Rick's wife, die for absolutely nothing? Being pregnant and all.
Yeah.
And she died giving birth, and now is the baby gone? Well, we have no idea. Maybe one of the little girls grabbed the baby.
I don't think it's
Maybe
dead.
Tyrese grabbed the baby. I know. Well, of course. If the baby was dead, we'd have seen a little zombie baby.
Well, let's hope they don't spend 5 shows trying to figure out if it's dead or not. Then it's a little zombie.
Yeah. They spent a lot of time on Carol's daughter in the second season, which I thought was a little bit slow.
Excessive, yes.
But I've enjoyed the season so far. I thought it barreled right along. It was
kind of slow during the epidemic.
It's very moralistic this season, I'm finding.
You mentioned that before, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much, between good and evil. Anyway, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up very quickly. I thought Hunger Games was okay for a kids' movie. Mark thought it was a little deeper than that.
I did.
Eyes Without a Face, I enjoyed it. Did you like it?
I thought it was a great old movie, yes.
Right. Okay, yes, it is an old movie. It's not as old as you, Mark. or me, 1960. Outpost 3, Rise of the Spetsnaz.
It's a video game.
Yeah, good movie to have a few beers with your buddies and mock. Funny games.
It's a disturbing movie.
Very disturbing.
But well done.
Yes, I thought it very well done,
even though it cheats.
13 Game of Death, I also thought was very well worth watching.
Yes, and there are some funny moments in that movie. Mm-hmm. It actually throws some humor in it.
Yes, it does.
So I thought that was
quite,
well done.
Quite absurd comedy at different times. A little bit of slapstick.
Yeah.
But, I don't think of Thai movies as being that entertaining. I don't know how many
I'm kind of wondering
if
that was made into a remake somewhere along the line, or will be.
It certainly could be, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And The Walking Dead, of course, shambles on, and been enjoying the season, and we'll talk about it more in February when the new episodes begin.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be back next week, folks, with our Christmas show.